Welcome to part 2 of addressing racism. The other video is 20 minutes, so we're going to try to make this one at least 15 to 20 minutes. I left off on talking about Umar Johnson and how I lost respect for him because he basically telling me that as a mixed man, if I married a Chinese woman, she can't come get our child, no matter the circumstances. Now, his words were a lot less tangible, but more polite, and he kind of did this shit on what I think was the Breakfast Club, which has a person who's mixed, two of them actually. But that was never really an address for him. But how he said that kind of offended me. So here we go. Now the last person on the list, he gets the rest of this video. His ass is Donald J. Trump, President of the United States for another month, in the entire December and most of January. Now, personally, I don't like this man. I don't know him well enough to hate him, but his rhetoric has gone far and beyond my liking. Now, what you guys fail to understand is that this isn't something that I didn't like about Donald Trump when he became the president. I could care two shits about that. Alright? Can care two shits about that shit. My problem with Donald Trump goes all the way back to 1993, with they don't like Indians to me. When I first heard that shit, I was like, who the fuck is Donald J. Trump? I don't know him. Then when I found out who he was, billionaire, whatever, big, rich white guy. So I was like, alright. I had nothing against him then until the Indian thing came out. Now, granted, I don't know if any Cherokees have casinos. But I know other tribes out west and up north have casinos to feed the tribe. Because, money's coming in, money's going out. And most of the tribe gives residual checks to the citizens of that tribe. So, and the tribe's got to eat. The tribe deserves to have some standings. Well, the guy in the court with Mr. Trump had pitched out, they don't like Indians to me. And he's not talking about the Indians with the dots. He's talking about the Indians with the feathers, which is what the guy in court was explaining to him, And that was kind of a treacherous thing, a deep step. Now, not dubstep, but a deep step. This began my downward spiral on why I don't like this man. But once he became the president, it only got worse for me. My dislike for him. Now, when he was dealing with the WWE, I didn't have a problem with Trump. Because, when you're on TV, regardless of what form of entertainment you're on TV. Everybody's watching you. So how you treat people, how you act, is going to be very important. And generally, if you find a formula that works, people continue to watch. Now, come a little further into the future, Central Park 5 happens. 5 young white men accused of raping five young black men accused of raping a white woman, which later would be proven innocent by DNA. And this man, who was about my age then, is talking, we should kill them kids. If they're guilty, we should bring back the death penalty. And, The View brought this up a few times, and I had to go do my own research, and then I watched a documentary, which I did post a piece of it up on here somewhere, where this white man asked Donald Trump, would he apologize to the Central Park 5, and he bullet dodged the question. Instead of just saying, no, fuck you, I ain't fuck you and fuck them, I ain't gonna answer the question, is his way out. So, that kind of hurt me because I'm like, alright. So, you don't want to say he's sorry or, apologize to the Central Park 5, and that's cool. You have to apologize to everybody because 9 times out of 10 when you say you're sorry, most people don't mean that shit anyway. They just say that shit to placate your ass. And if you don't know that, James Williams Jr. just taught you a true lesson in life. Most people apologize to placate you so that you will just drop the subject. That's it. Most people hardly mean their apologies. Now, if you're like playing basketball, I stepped on your shoe. Okay, I'm sorry. That's a heartfelt apology. if we're arguing about something that's been going on for like 7 days or 7 years, somebody's gonna say they're sorry just to shut the fucking argument up. Enough said. So I was willing to let that shit go with Trump until the Standing Rock issue came up. But I mentioned I was part Cherokee Indian. And yeah, the Standing Rock is Sioux. They're West Coast. Well, technically they're Central, because North Dakota is like right there. So technically they're Central. And Lakota Sioux has been through a lot of stuff. And Navajo has been through a lot of stuff. And Apache has been through a lot of stuff. Cherokee has been through a lot of stuff. You know, there has not been a Native American tribe that has not suffered at the hands of the taking of this country. Alright? So this man comes to the Sioux people and he tells them, you know, I don't have any ties with Standing Rock. I'm not gonna let, if I win the presidency, I'm not gonna let anything happen to your tribe. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. And he's feeding them all this horse shit. Alright? And in all that horse shit, you know, the whole time he's planning on letting this shit go through. So the last day in Barack Obama's office, Barack Obama decides, I'm going to save Standing Rock. It's the last thing I do as president. I'm going to put a protection order to make sure that Standing Rock and our treaties with the Native Americans are intact. Do not touch Standing Rock. Barack Hussein Obama. So we have the election. Hillary Clinton loses. Donald Trump wins. The world is busting backflips and Kathy Griffin has a dead head and a knife. And gets all kinds of shit going on with that. Day one, after the inauguration, first thing that Trump does, Standing Rock Pipeline, it's gonna happen. Now, mind you, he told them months before he got in there that he's not gonna let anything happen to Standing Rock. He has no ties with Standing Rock. The pipeline's not gonna happen if he becomes president. And on day one, but Trump has always had issues with Native Americans. I'm part Native American, so I take that shit kind of personally when you tell us you're not going to do shit, and then you turn around and do it. Because the one thing what people don't understand, and I'm going to break this down for you, and it's going to be racist, and it's going to piss you off, which means I'm doing my job. Because the truth hurts, and the truth pisses people off. The truth is not kind, and you can't always break kind news when you're telling the truth. The one thing that all tribes, from the day the Europeans came and took this country from the Native Americans, the one thing that all tribes have learned, that what affects one Native American tribe will affect all Native American tribes because they're going to take the land. They got the East Coast Native Americans first, from the Manhattan Islands all the way down to Florida. So you got the Manhattan, Seminole, the Rappahannock, Tappahannock, Cherokee, Powhatan. I'm missing a few, but the Creek, they got them. They got them all down the line, all down the East Coast. Got them all. Put them on reservations. Gave us smallpox. Raped the women and the children so that people like me would exist. Mixed breeds. Then it's chop off their hair, kill the Indian, save the man. And this is before they even hit the West Coast. This is before the Wild West happened. Then the Wild West happens. So now you have a problem. You have a problem before that, which was Sitting Bull. And now you have a bigger problem. You have Cochise, you have Geronimo, Apaches. Then you have the Sioux and the Navajo. The wildest of us all was the Apache. And then you have the Hopi and the Pueblo. And then you have the ones further up and down the western coast. And not to mention if you go into Mexico, because Mexico's some Native Americans too. And then you have the Aztecs, the Incans, the Mayans, the Amazons. All of those are Native Americans. All of them spawned from the same group that came out of Asia and down into Canada and down into America after hitting Alaska. And spawned all the way back around to the top of Siberia. So in case you're wondering why there are Native Americans in Siberia, it's because they are the ones that came back. But I'm sure history leaves that off. So we got this guy in the office who is calling a woman who has proven that she has Native American blood. She has 1/16% of Native American blood. He's calling her Pocahontas. He even stabbed at her during the middle of a code talker's honoring. You're very special people. you've been here for a long time, or we have somebody else who's been here for a long time. We call her Pocahontas. And y'all don't see this as racist. Of course you don't. You know why you don't? Because it doesn't affect you. And this is how racism works. See, if a white man calls a black man the N-word, a black man's ready to punch him in the face. If a black man calls a white man the H-word or the C-word, the white man decides, oh, well, you know, I am that. I'm going to walk away now. Because the stereotype of I'm afraid of a black man means I might get my ass kicked. So I'm walk away. But then you have those white cats. This is just as bad. Oh. I'm a H. I'm a H. Boom! And then he calls him an N. And now not only do you have a fist fight, but now you have a word slinging match. N's and H's all over the place. And then you got your fellow white guy and your fellow black guy gonna join in and don't even know what the hell started the fight. Black guy called the white guy an H. Same thing could have went the other way. White guy could have called the black guy an N. But instead of getting to the bottom of why they called each other that, it's just a fucking fight. Simple as that. Add a little Asian guy in the mixing, there you go. Or add a Native American guy in the mixing, there you go. But Native Americans and Asians are one and the same in the Mongoloid class of people. So, let me give you your scientific lesson on that. Caucasoid, Negroid, Mongoloid. Go Google that shit. Anyway, because those are the three species of human beings. And then there's me, the hybrid of all three. Now, we go into that. Now, he's called this woman Pocahontas in front of Navajo men who have served. Now, Pocahontas was Powhatan, and a princess at that. These Navajo soldiers, these wind talkers, they weren't the only wind talkers. Navajo, Sioux, some Apaches, a lot of Native Americans were code talkers. A lot of Native Americans fought in World War I and II. Not so much the Civil War, but World War I and II. And they were shunned by tribal people because it's like, this is not our war. This is the white man's war. Let the white man die. And a lot of tribal people were like, you know, America's still our country, so we're still going to do our part. And still got no recognition for that shit. Which is what makes wind talkers and code talkers so special. Because it showed that even the Native Americans were going to fight for this land. Because it was their land first. But to have Mr. Trump go as far as to do that after years of I'm not going to do this, but I'm going to do that, and then insult Native Americans and insult Elizabeth Warren in front of Native Americans, for you all to say that's not racist, there's something wrong with your moral compass. So you don't have to agree with me, but it is the truth. There's something wrong with your moral compass. But this is how racism works. If it doesn't affect you directly, it's not racist. So if he went to a poor white person who lived in a trailer court and called them PWT, please do not be offended by those abbreviations, but what it stands for is poor white trash. I don't like calling people trash. But if he did that, would white people consider that shit racist, or would they consider that shit true? Or would they be like, oh, that's just both, and those poor white people don't deserve what they're living in, but fuck them, I'm rich. You know? So, PWT, if he started talking about poor white people, would that make you open up your eyes and your ears then, because it will affect you directly? No, because those PWTs will still follow this asshat to the end of fucking time, because they're thinking, hey, he's gonna look out for us because we got the same skin tone. If he was looking at you because you had the same skin tone, you would not be a PWT. So therefore. And finally, because this video is almost at the 15-minute mark, finally the thing that sealed the deal, that ended any respect that I will ever have for Donald Trump, unless he takes a bullet for me, like literally, like he dives through my window because somebody's trying to kill me, and he takes a bullet for me, I will never have love or respect for this man because of the simple fact that Chinese virus has put a lot of my Asian friends in danger. And for you Asian people who voted for him, he just hasn't reached your Asian yet. And you can take this any way you want it, and I don't care, because no one likes a truth teller. But the day that he told that Chinese reporter to go ask China was the last straw for me. I mean, it literally was the last straw. She came in there and she asked him questions, and it wasn't like an offbeat question. She asked him something, and I don't really remember what it was because I'm still stunned over that whole incident. And he looked her dead in the face and said, "Why don't you go ask China?" And her being offended a little bit and being Chinese, she pulled down her mask and said, "Why did you say that to me?" And he said, "I'm done. Lady behind you, go ahead." And the lady behind her said, "No, why did you not let my colleague finish?" "Okay, next." And yet, you women still voted for this guy. You know? So not only was he being racist, but he was being sexist. And the other thing that pissed me off, was more than anything else in the world, and that was this one thing that I have to address, and I'm not going to be happy about it, and you're not going to be happy about it, and I'm going to lose followers. Billy Bush got fired for doing his job. So to whoever he used to work for, I think it was like Extra. I'm not sure who it was. I know it was something that he was on a bus doing his job. And all of a sudden he doesn't have a job, though he never said anything sexual, though he never did anything sexual, he never threatened to grab women by the vaginas and all this other stuff. He's doing his job, interviewing the president. And he gets fired for doing his job. That's just BS. Understand how that feels. Did you have a family to support? And you're interviewing a guy who's talking about grabbing women by their private parts. And that guy becomes the president, and you can't get arrested getting another job doing what you did because you did your job. Well, I'm with you on that, Billy Bush, because I got fired for doing my job once. I've been fired more than once, but for doing my job, I got fired. So yeah, I'm with you there. And I am angry. And I'm even more angry that the president didn't make a phone call to the people. Hey, y'all really should have fired Billy Bush because, he was doing his job. Why did y'all fire Billy Bush? And, he didn't come to Billy's aid or any of that shit. So that just goes to show you, where your loyalties lie is very important. But even if Billy Bush was a Trump supporter, I'm pretty sure he's not supporting him now because Trump got him fired by having this interview. Hey, if you're really rich, you can grab them by the pussy and no one's going to say anything. Billy Bush didn't say anything. He just barely acknowledged that, and he kept going with the interview. But yet, he got fired. I would definitely have to say if I have any kind of contract with any kind of company, I was like, look, man, here's all the stuff I've ever said on YouTube. Go through it before you give me the job, because I don't want that shit coming back to bite me in the ass later because I said some shit that was unbecoming and you don't want to be associated with me because I tell the truth. The truth is not kind. And if you guys are Trump supporters, let me be honest with you. I don't have a problem with you supporting Trump. I really don't. I have a problem with your moral compass, especially if you're Asian, Mexican, or Cuban, for the simple fact of how he's treated Asians, counting Native Americans, how he's treated Cubans, how he's told us all, and Muslims also, that Mexicans were murderers, rapists, and drug dealers, and that Muslims were terrorists, and that everything under the sun with all these people. And if you don't think that this is racist, it's because that's not the color of your skin. It's not your religion. It's not your ethnicity that's on the chopping block. And as long as it's not on the chopping block, if you're not on the chopping block, most people don't count that shit as racist because it's not affecting them. Well, here's the thing, so I can end this peacefully. What affects one race of humans, or one ethnicity of humans, or one gender of humans, will affect all humans on some level or another. And yes, that is a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself. I just reworded it a little bit, changed it up. But it is no less true when he said it than it is with me just saying it and tweaking it. The fact of the matter is really simple. We're all we've got. And if you got one guy who's power hungry enough to make sure, because they said it today, so I'm going to end this on a good note for everyone except for you Trump followers. Well, it might end on a good note for y'all because one of the guys he gave a pardon to said, declare martial law and force people to basically revote. Well, here's how this is going to work. First off, you can't declare martial law if it's not a wartime thing. As a veteran, you're not supposed to declare martial law if the city doesn't have insurgents coming in to kill us. You can't force anybody. You do not have the power to force anybody to re-vote for you. You don't have that power. And there are a lot of other things that goes with that with martial law. Martial law really means we are being invaded. Really simple. And I don't mean little insurgents coming in and doing tiny cell attacks. I mean full-on invasion. They've dropped tanks in Florida and they're blowing every damn thing the fuck up. Then you can declare martial law. Martial law is really only for like a terrorist attack. If someone's attacking us, we have the right to defend our land. And in that case, with martial law, we generally will put civilians on a mandate that they can't leave their house other to go to work unless they are in a war zone where we will evacuate their ass so that they can't get killed while we're trying to defend the front lines. This is Kung Fu Habit number 2. We pray for solutions, and we hope that we get them. Be seeing you.